But for Juan Manuel Marquez, the journey from Golden Gloves champion to professional fighter was anything but smooth.
When Juan Manuel was 18, he was picking oranges out of a tree in Mexico, and he fell, and he did severe damage to his spine and to his lower back. It cost him 2 years of his career. He couldn't turn pro for 2 years.
En ningún momento pensé de renunciar. Al contrario, después de la lesión, a entrenar bien motivados, empezar una carrera, dije yo, ya hay que debutar y vamos a empezar con el pie derecho.
Marquez would have only 8 fights in Mexico before following Barrera's footsteps into Southern California.
What excited me about Marquez early was his technical abilities. You could see right away that this kid has the skills necessary to really be a tremendous, tremendous fighter.
The man didn't make mistakes. And when you gave him a fighter who made mistakes, he punished them unmercifully.
I tell you, Marquez is all over him, hammering away, and Gonzalez is really hurt.
He would maybe not be what you'd call a typical brawler, but I mean, he was definitely willing to fight and definitely willing to throw a lot of punches in his fights, and he won the majority of them by knockout.
Throughout the late 90s, Marquez was the other terrific Mexican featherweight, but somehow or another, he never was able to get into that giant matchup that would really bring him off the page as a fighter.
Marquez would spend 2 years as the mandatory challenger to boxing's hottest sensation, Naseem Hamed, without getting a fight.
I know at one time when I was involved with Naseem Hamed, I purposely recommended not fighting him.
Hamed unashamedly just ducked him and dodged him.
Naseem Hamed had too much to lose fighting an excellent boxer, puncher, counterpuncher like Marquez. So you know his first title shot came against another guy who was also avoided, a southpaw by the name of Freddie Norwood.
He finally had his shot, and people were ready to explode for Juan Manuel Marquez. All the Mexican press was there. He was expected to win that title.
Norwood may never have fought anybody with the punching power of Marquez.
It was a chance for Marquez to elevate his reputation and become the next great Mexican featherweight, but it didn't happen because it was a horrible, foul-filled fight.
Leg tackle, another clash of heads.
Maybe the trainers ought to get in there and fight.
Marquez got hurt early, and he was very tentative. The whole fight was very tentative.
Another low contact round.
You gotta throw some combinations.
Marquez, for whatever reason, pulled back in that fight. He did not really go forward the way that he had fought previous to that. He did not show everything that he had.
And in the end, the judges gave it to Norwood. And Marquez fought, he won the fight, but I also remember him saying, I could have done more. And that was really it. He could have done more to win that fight.
While Marquez found himself fading out of boxing spotlight, Barrera's star kept rising.
A lot of people felt that Barrera was unstoppable. And that's the way it looked like it was going until he ran into Junior Jones.
In 1996, Barrera took on former champion Junior Jones in what was supposed to be another easy victory.
Down he goes! Hard right hand by Junior. The bell ends the round. Barrera is knocked down. The referee stopped the fight.
His fight with Junior Jones was a painful experience for him.
Jones would win a rematch by decision 5 months later. The persona Barrera built up throughout his career was shattered. At the same time, a new Mexican star was poised to take his place on boxing's center stage.
I think a lot of Mexican fans were already in love with Erik Morales, and Morales did portray the traditional profile of the Mexican fighter: hit and get hit, savage intensity, and of course he was a poor kid from El Norte, the roughest neighborhood in Tijuana.
Morales was just an unstoppable warrior who would find a way to beat anybody.
Marco realized that if he was going to regain a grip on the audience, particularly the Mexican public, he needed to beat Erik Morales.
In 2000, 3 years after the Jones losses, Barrera signed to fight Morales in Las Vegas.
The first Morales-Barrera fight was perceived as the new young king against the old dying king.
What transpired when those two threw down, it was just unbelievable. It was breathtaking to watch.
There is no pretense of defense in this ring.
If savagery in the ring can be beautiful, it was that night.
Here comes Barrera. Here comes Morales. What a fight!
After 12 brutal rounds, Morales was awarded a split decision. Despite the loss, it was apparent Barrera was back.
He had reestablished himself as a top-level prestige fighter, and most importantly, he had gone toe-to-toe, savagely, in an incredibly intense fight against the definitive Mexican fighter of the moment.
After the fight, the first one to show us that we had won or Marco had won the fight was Eric Morales himself.
Yo recuerdo muy bien sus palabras de él. Cuando bajamos del ring, fue a mi vestidor y me puso una medalla y me dijo, esa tú te la ganaste porque fue tu noche. Yo la guardé, no había dicho nada hasta ahorita. Pero pues eso como que me motivaba, ¿no? Para decir, ok, él reconoce que perdió. Adelante, tengo para dar más.
Barrera's future was once again bright. 1 year later, he stepped up to the featherweight division to challenge undefeated champion Naseem Hamed.
Prince Naseem Hamed was a heavy favorite, not just because of his global popularity and his unique image and the showmanship, but also because Hamed was regarded as a unique lights-out puncher for the weight.
And his punch seemed almost superhuman for the 126-pound division. So the feeling was that he was going to knock out Barrera.
I've seldom seen Marco excited when a fight gets signed. Like a little boy, I remember clearly when we left the press conference, the fight was signed, he said, this is what I've always wanted. This is the fight.
Round one is all Barrera as Prince Naseem takes several power shots.
What he put together was really one of the most compelling pieces of ring artistry that you could ever see. I mean, he dismantled Prince Naseem Hamed round by round, took his career apart in front of all of us.
Big left hand by Barrera inside, stuns Prince Naseem. Right hand and a left by Barrera, rocking Naz back.
Here you had a guy who'd been fighting for years as a brawling Mexican-type fighter, and then he suddenly changed. Barrera showed that night that he was a master boxer.
Get the right hand by Barrera. He wants to close the show with authority.
Then gloriously in the 12th round, he turned Naz around and took his head and banged him into the ring post. And the crowd roared with appreciation, and Barrera had now risen to a new level. He had come in and constructed a fight plan as carefully and as intellectually and had executed it as well as was humanly possible for that fight.
Marco Antonio Barrera's dominant victory over Naseem Hamed, that had to have been a bitter, painful moment for Juan Manuel Marquez.
Marquez got beat by Norwood, and at that point, Hamed said, okay, well, I'll fight him. He would have beaten Marco Antonio to that punch. Nacho Beristain overruled that.
Nacho is a great trainer, but he's not a great manager. Nacho has made management decisions where he was basically cutting his nose off, despite his face.
Besides declining to fight Hamed in 2000, Marquez was unable to shake the passive reputation he received from the Freddie Norwood fight.
And really, from that point, Juan Manuel Marquez was in boxing's no man's land. He was plying his trade, he was getting paid a little bit of money. He just had his eyes on the prize.
He had to fight his way up again, and that's what he did.
In 2003, after a decade of professional fighting, Juan Manuel Marquez finally won his elusive title against Manuel Medina. 2 weeks later, brother Rafael won his first belt, and the Marquez brothers became part of boxing history.
But it's rare that brothers become champions. The Spinks brothers, the Klitschko brothers, but I put to you, the Marquez brothers might be the best.
You've got these two brothers, they're close, they've built their reputations together, and they're married to two sisters. That's taking the whole brother thing to a whole new level.
Yo fui el culpable de esto. Yo pues andaba con mi esposa ahorita, en aquel tiempo mi novia, y pues Rafa me dice, oye, su hermana está muy guapa, preséntamela. Pues ahí voy yo de obediente, se la presento, pues empezaron a salir y así fue cuando pues, nació la historia de amor y pues se casaron.
Probably no other brother combo could match that particular, matrimonial